Now, to a child star whose career hasn't gone to plan, poor old Lindsay Lohan can't catch a break. She's made her way through jail and another round of rehab, only to find out her dad is trying to sell excerpts from one of her old diaries. With parents like that, who needs enemies? But the troubled Mean Girl star's latest headache did get us wondering about a tricky issue. Is it ever okay for mum or dad to check out their kid's diary? And with so many kids on Facebook and MySpace, what are the new privacy rules for parents? When does safeguarding become spying? For her take, I'm joined by author Danielle Miller. Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning.
Now, what do you think about the whole idea of parents reading diaries?
Look, I think it's never really okay to invade your daughter's privacy like that, and once you have, it'll be really difficult to build that trust back up. In Lindsay's case, her diary was something that she kept at her most vulnerable, so I'm sure that was particularly hurtful. The only time when there might be an exception to that rule is if you're really afraid that your child could be at risk and that there's an issue there around their safety. I think it's also important to let our young people know that if they do want their diary to be private, they need to put it in a private spot and not leave it lying around the lounge room where perhaps little brothers might be tempted.
Or maybe burn it when they become famous.
Yeah.
Now, the game's really changed because when we were teenagers it was about diaries. Now it's about Facebook. So it's a little bit confusing for parents because the whole idea of Facebook is that things are very public.
Yeah.
What is the parameters around parents looking at their children's Facebook pages?
Yeah, you're right. Often young people do assume that their Facebook site is private, and of course it isn't. The golden rule with young people is to explain to them that would they do it in real life? So in real life, would they say that they hate their maths teacher at the top of their lungs across the playground? Would they give out photos of themselves wearing a bikini in a public place? If the answer is no, then it's probably not a good idea to do that on Facebook either. Often parents are very worried that there might be content on their daughter's Facebook page that could be dangerous. I think it's a really good idea to be your daughter's Facebook friend if she's happy with that. If she's not, to see if there is an adult that she's comfortable with, that she might befriend, so they can just keep a watchful eye.
My son's almost a teenager and we have a lot of talk about Facebook, and one of the conditions I had about him starting his Facebook page was that I knew the password and could look on it at any time, and he says that's fine as long as I don't go on and pretend to be him and have conversations with his friends.
So do little status updates, my mum rocks.
That's right. I use that as a threat if he's being naughty. So are there different rules for what's reading on, say, a child's text messages or on their computers? Is it important for us to have access to those passwords and know what's going on?
Yeah, it is, and often for technological reasons, you might need to get someone to come in and update your spyware or your software, or to do a virus protection. So I always say to my children that you know, things that we do on the computer really are going to be public, and that's the nature of the internet anyway. Nothing's ever completely secure, and it's a really good idea to let young people know that, because they can be seduced into thinking that everything is so private. Interestingly though, Mia, lots of young people do still keep traditional diaries, paper diaries, and love them. And in fact, when we work with young girls in schools, one of our most popular workshops is diary making, and it's important to explain to young people that that can be a great exercise, but unlike the footage that we saw earlier, which was of the burn book, try and focus on writing about positive things in your life, not just venting all your frustrations and sadness.
But teenage years are about angst, aren't they? So in some ways it can be positive to have an outlet.
It can be, but often I say to girls, rip that up, burn it, destroy it. You don't need to keep it. It's a little bit like vomiting into a box and keeping that vomit forever and looking back occasionally to reflect on it. You know, let it go. When we make diaries with girls, we ask them to make little positive diaries where they can record happy things in their lives, put pictures in of themselves looking joyful with their friends, song lyrics that inspire them, so that when they're sad and feeling down, they've got a positive place to go. And also girls can write little beautiful messages in the books for each other. So much more productive than keeping these destructive books which catalogue all the wrongs that have ever happened to them.
So they should work on the basis that maybe one day someone will read, hopefully not sell, their teenage diaries.
I wouldn't work on that basis, but I would just get used to reflecting on the good things in your life as well as the negative things, and perhaps, as you said, express all of that, get it out of your system, but don't necessarily keep it forever.
Terrific. I think there's some good lessons for adults in that as well.
Yeah.
Danielle Miller, thanks very much.
Absolute pleasure.
See you soon.